Hey ratbags, it's Jade. Welcome to a Jadecraft Takeover, my second channel. I've been playing a lot of crafty games and I've been hitting Core Keeper big time the last couple of weeks. In fact, it's only coming up to 2 weeks since the game's been out. I've sunk about 60 hours into the game. And you know what? It's about time I talk to you, my Jade PG survival fans, why you should absolutely pick this up. So let's go over why I really love Core Keeper. Of course, do go and give my second channel a subscribe to see grounded content, Core Keeper, Planet Crafter, and them kind of survival games that are a bit maybe too chill for the main channel nowadays. But Core Keeper is a fantastic little game. They've sold over 250,000 copies already. I'm sure they're going to hit 1 million in just a short space of time, and it's a great game. It's mixing all the best features from games like Terraria, Stardew Valley, and Minecraft. And that might seem like a lazy comparison, but honestly, it really is in this instance. They seem to have just taken and distilled so many of them good elements. I'm just showing off some of the armor and workbenches that you unlock, and it's so satisfying. Digging around, gathering resources, fighting against all sorts of mobs, and hopefully progressing upwards. And that's why it borrows so heavily from other games. It's just got that good crafty feel, that good progression, and a huge world to explore. So you can start with a simple life, doing things like farming, growing your crops, getting automated systems eventually for it to help, and basically making your base look pretty and nice. You'll be going and gathering resources to then make decorations or really customizable bases where you can paint the walls and do all sorts. So it's got that feel, that nice feel that you always got in these types of games where you really want to make your base something special and unique. Then we've got cooking, which is really involved. You combine 2 recipes or 2 food groups together and you get all these different buffs and bonuses from them. So there's a huge choice, and I really like the fact that you can approach different bosses or different encounters with creatures or just exploring in different ways. If you want to boost up your maximum health, you can do. If you want to boost up how much you can see around you because you've got an inner glow, you can do. Speed, mining, there's all sorts of things you can improve on just by cooking different foods. Every time you do something like farming or cooking, you are basically raising your XP to eventually unlock talents, and these talents are skills that will give you extra bonuses. You can get skills in everything from running to mining to farming to cooking, as well as obviously range combat and fighting. The bosses are a big component of this. You'll come across a huge amount of smaller little mobs and stuff, and the game gets progressively harder as you explore further and further. But the bosses offer something pretty unique in terms of difficulty of them, and it's a bit like Terraria where you have to really prepare for some of the bosses. Have you got the right food groups? Have you got the best weapons, the best armor that you can get, obviously? But then you might have to do something with the terrain. You might have to prepare and make sure you can catch up to bosses or keep them in the same spot. The bosses all have their own unique traits as well to make each one harder, and there's a good amount of them, especially just for early access. There's at least 4 named proper bosses, and then you get another 2 that you may find out in the open world just exploring, that kind of like harder variants. The drops that you get from them will allow you to craft new weapons or other stuff that helps you find the next boss, and it really just helps that progression system. You kind of always know what you got to do as long as you have been paying attention and you are doing things like trying to take on the boss. If that's not your bag, you can just go through and pretty much mine and do stuff, but life will be made a bit easier if you can get some of these upgrades and increase your skills. Automation seems to be the hot buzzword in most crafty games lately, and Core Keeper's got it. You will find nodes or veins where you can set up drills and hopefully then start gaining massive resources. All the usual sort of stuff like gold, copper, tin, iron, but also something called scarlet. And before you know it, you're making stonking profits by selling your ingots to some of the NPC traders that you can rescue once you've defeated certain bosses. And here's where, like I said, they lift a lot of stuff. To me, the bosses are very much reminiscent of taking on creatures in Terraria, where you have to prepare and build arenas sometimes, or prep. Then you've got automation and stuff like electricity, and I swear it's exactly the Minecraft Red system. Although I do realise that Minecraft actually based that on a proper electrical or current logic system anyway, but you get the idea. It seems to just be borrowing heavily, and sometimes you think, well, is it that great then? If they're just taking elements from other games, what makes me want to play this rather than just play the other games? It's that combination, that different viewpoint that it's got, which is similar to Stardew Valley. The typical mining and gathering resources like you do in Minecraft, and then that Terraria aspect where you're digging underground quite a lot, but obviously with a bit of a different viewpoint. You'll go through a whole bunch of different biomes, from stuff where it's just dirt to then you'll find stone typical biomes and some gorgeous water effects as well, with lots of different crops lighting the way. The map is absolutely huge as well, as I said, so it will take you forever sometimes to find some of the creatures in there, and that's a good thing. I like the element of, you know, are you going to get lucky? It's all procedurally randomly generated as well, so you can always start a fresh new world for a fresh new take, and you'll have bosses and locations of things in different places. And like I said, it's got whole systems like minecarts, so you can make travel over these places a lot quicker. Then you've got like the slime biome, which is sometimes patrolled by this boss creature, and they're pretty dangerous, but they're kind of like the starting creatures, so you should have a good supply of slimes in the end that'll help you make potions and other stuff. Before moving on to the larvae sort of biome, where it's this horrible, yucky, grub style, maggoty mess on the floor, and you'll be taking out these grubs, which are pretty dangerous, and hopefully the hive mother boss. So eventually exploring the furthest wilderness, the Asus wilderness, and taking on the Asus boss, as well as some really difficult creatures. Like, it's no joke, you'll be tense because if you die you have to run back and get your stuff that's been dropped in a bag. So dying miles away from your location with some of your best items is never a great thing, and that challenge is there. The challenge is absolutely there. It's got a hardcore version if you want to play that as well, and like I said, it's really unique that you can keep replaying the game, starting off a new world, and it will feel fresh. As I said, after about 60 hours, although I must admit around 10 of them are AFK while I got resources for my drills and stuff, I've still yet to encounter half the weapons and accessories you can get that give you extra bonuses. Whether it's extra speed boost or shields or rings that do more mining damage, you get the idea. So it's got lots of that, and I hope they lean more into that even more in the future. The music is absolutely banging. I like the sound effects as well, although pretty sparse and quite repetitive because there's obviously only just a few tracks. But when it kicks in, it's so good. It reminds me again so much of the Terraria music, which is absolutely top notch. So yeah, it's on Steam now. They've already hit 250,000 sales in just literally a week and a half. I'm sure that number must be close to 350 now. They've got at least 3 major biomes planned in their update, and they're going to be adding friendly animals, boats, emotes, and much more while they're in early access. So there's no excuse. Go and spend the best 11 quid, $12 you'll spend all year round. I'm literally saying it right now. I think this is my game of the year already. Certainly in terms of survival so far. In terms of newness, it mixes the old, but it does it in such a nice fresh way, combining good stuff, having the ability to play with 8 of your friends is good as well, and you can really get a sense of maybe doing stuff together and taking on the hardest creatures and bosses. A few things I do want them to add though is the ability to zoom in while playing the game a little bit more, so that I can actually zoom in and have my player just a bit closer if I really want to. A little bit more work on changing the UI. I don't think you can necessarily change it that much. And the control scheme's good. It does support player control pads, but there are a few functions that it still hasn't got completely right, the same as PC yet. One area improvement is maybe the weapons. They're not that sexy at the moment. You'll come across a couple weapons that have got maybe a different ability. Like I've got a grubzooka that can literally obliterate sand and dirt as well as maybe turf in front of you and clear out the way. But other than that, some of the swords and stuff, they only arbitrarily do just a little bit more damage rather than have any special effects or any unique bonuses or purposes. And if they can lean in even more to some of that automation to make it a game that you could really do almost anything, like crafting new items and stuff like that with purely auto-ness, that would be great. And maybe work a bit on some of the rewards that I got from the bosses, as I thought they were a bit stingy as you progressed a little bit. But yeah, the future is good for this game. I love the idea of more pets and stuff being added. I hope they add more NPCs. The biomes sound pretty cool, like a new sunken water biome, a desert biome and stuff. So absolutely give it a shot. Go and check out all the guides and gameplay I've been showing off on my second channel. And I'll see you for another Jadecraft Takeover very soon. Bye bye.